All right, we get things rolling on a Friday night on the Krueg Show. Hope everybody's having a phenomenal day. It's been a great Friday thus far. It's been a great week thus far. And we're going to finish strong. No Rye tonight. Rye's on a hot date. Rye's like, man, I promised the missus that I'd take her out. So Rye, not in the mix tonight. So more time for you in the chat. And but we are going to have our buddy Frank Red is going to stop by. Red will be by. We'll get his thoughts. Red was at the game tonight. And we'll talk a lot about the Warriors who finished tonight on an 18-2 run and took down the Blazers. Dante DiVincenzo picked Dame Lillard's pocket, then stuck the three on the other end to put an exclamation point on a phenomenal Warriors victory. But we start by saying big thanks today to our show sponsor, this guy, Dan Coccimilgio. Everyone who watches this show knows Dan, but they may not know that he is a phenomenal retirement planning specialist, and you can contact him today by visiting his website, securemoney.com, or by calling him at 925-628-9966. There's a lot of uncertainty in our world right now, and you want to make sure that your money is working for you and that your money is secure. And Danny's got 25 years of experience doing this kind of stuff, and he was born and raised right here in the Bay Area, and he can help you get an immediate 10% premium bonus on your principal retirement account. So give him a call. Don't forget to visit his website, securemoney.com, or the number 925-628-9966. And you're saying, man, Larry doesn't normally do sponsors up front. Well, you know what? We're going to shout out our sponsors: New York Sausage, New York Style Italian Sausage, Telmetrics, and Danny up front on the shows. And of course, we'll continue to run the spots later.
Yeah, and one thing since that spot, we've actually got now for a limited time, we've got a 14% bonus. So if anybody's got lost money in the market and wants to add 14% back to their balance, it's available. So that is a pretty hot commodity right now. So somebody who puts in $100,000 immediately starts with 114,000. So, and it's money that you can't lose. So even if the market tanks, so it's something to be aware of. And if you want to chat with me about it, just give me a call.
Yeah, securemoney.com on the web, 925-628-9966. That guy right there, Dan Coccimilgio, will help you out if you give him a call. And we thank him for being a sponsor of the Krueg Show. All right, now we got a couple interesting ones here. Anonymous says, did the Giants sign Carlos Correa and trade for Shohei Ohtani and Corbin Burns yet? It has happened. No, it hasn't happened. But Anonymous, way to get us going and way to poke the bear. All right, here we go. Kid Trickster Krueg, please make some merch so we can support. Oh, what? The merch is been made. It's housed currently at the New York Style Italian Sausage Company at Caceres in Dublin. But I also ordered 50 some odd shirts, and I will have them here in just a couple days. And then the shirts were in, and they had to be printed, and I've got 50 of them, and they're an assortment of large, extra large, double extra large, and there's even 2 triple extra large. So there you go. And they're $25 plus shipping. And we'll figure when they come in, I'll figure out. I've got everybody's address. For the most part, if I don't have your address, I'll probably be contacting you if you reached out saying you want one of the t-shirts. But we have Krueg Show merchandise. It is here, and it's actually a really cool looking shirt. It looks just like the logo.
The sheets ready yet?
What's that?
The bed sheets ready yet?
Yeah, the sheets are not ready yet. The slippers are not ready yet.
Okay.
But
my Giza sheets.
They come from a rare part of Fresno where it's indigenous to the people of Fresno. It is special. These are special ingredients.
I love that word, indigenous.
Anyway, so tonight, though, really a couple things on my mind. One, the Warriors get an amazing win, and obviously we're going to start there. Frank's going to join us. I invited Cy. Cy's coming back from L.A. with a brand new dog. Cy just got a brand new dog.
Did he tell you what kind of dog it was?
No, he didn't, but maybe I could text him. But Cy's got a brand new dog.
Tell
him
to send a picture, and we'll put the picture up on the Krueg show.
Rise on a hot date. Frank was at the game and is going to join us. I sent him the link. He's going to join us when he gets home.
You need some hats. Yeah, hats would be good. I could wear a Krueg hat.
Yeah, Krueg show hats. You like that?
That would be nice. Mark Graves says Krueg hats, please.
It gets kind of complicated when you get into hats, though. Glass Half Full Guy says $9.99 donation. He says, am I nuts to not feel all that great about Farhan's comments? I realize he can't say a whole hell of a lot, but I feel he can be more aggressive than he's been. All right, we're going to get into that. Okay, so what's on the topics tonight? What do we have to chew on here at on the Krueg show? All right, what we have is an exciting Warrior game and an exciting Warrior team that is headed towards the playoffs, in my opinion, and possibly another run at the title. And there's all kinds of debate over, what's going to get them there. The young guys, and do they need to move anybody? Do they need to pick up somebody? So on and so forth. So we can get into the Warrior discussion. I have some definite thoughts on that. Then, of course, we're leading into Niners Raiders New Year's Day from Vegas. And I just think I looked at the numbers. I broke the whole thing down. The Niners have a great defense and the Raiders have a terrible defense. And the Niners have a great offense and the Raiders offense has talent, but it's far from great. And Jarrett Stidham is starting. He's a statue. And you got Nick Bosa and the deepest defensive line in football getting ready to tee off. So for the Niners, what's the game plan? You combo block Max Crosby as much as possible. You chip him. You knock him off his pins, you combo block him, you take him out of the situation, and you dare anybody else on their front to beat you. You gang tackle Josh Jacobs, and you roll your coverage towards Devontae Adams. And really, it's got to be good coverage on the other side too, because Renfro can really catch. And you try to go get the quarterback. I think in this game with the Niner D line and the Raider O line, I think the Niners may be able to pile up 10 sacks. 10 sacks.
Oh boy, 10.
They're not that. I'm going to put that number out there. Okay. 10 sacks and double-digit quarterback hits. I think they can get it. The Raiders don't typically have the best underneath passing game. Stidham's strength is that he's more of a deep ball thrower. I think he's not. I mean, he's a big, 6'5" guy, who's pretty immobile. I could see them trying to challenge the Niner corners and putting him back there and letting Bosa and the boys just tee off on him. So that's my guess. That's my guess. But the Raiders do have the ability to score some points if there's breakdowns on the defensive side. So Niners, Raiders in Vegas coming up on New Year's Day. If you got some thoughts on that, the question of right now for all Niner fans is just, where are you with Brock Purdy? Are you kind of impressed but don't really believe? Do you totally believe and there's no looking back? Do you believe so much that you want to move off of Trey and hand him the job and make it the Brock Purdy era? Where are you? There are degrees of belief, let's just say, in Brock Purdy. Where are you? I'm all in. And when I say that, I know there's going to be some rough games and some rough patches. That's, that's normal. But what we're seeing is something that is not something that started recently. This is the way Brock Purdy plays. And I see nothing, Brock Purdy's taking chances down the field. He's throwing the ball down the field and hitting receivers in stride. I've talked to guys on both sides of the football in the locker room for multiple weeks now. There's a belief in this guy that's real. And it's amazing. It's an incredible story that I'll say fell into him, because they took him with the last pick in the draft. They fell into him. They can say that they knew more than everybody else, but they can't say that they knew it all because they took him with the last pick of the draft. But he is playing at a very impressive level, as you all know, and I think it's real. I believe that this is going to continue. And I think they've caught lightning in a bottle. Charvarius Ward said, "Hey, I love Brock. They're scoring 30 a game. I play defense. You know how much easier it is to play defense when they score 30 a game on offense." So it's, I'm all in. Where are you on Brock Purdy? And I'm not going to question you. If you say, "Hey, you know what, Krug, I like him, but I'm not ready to anoint him. It's 5 games, it's, 4 games. And I don't care what the stats say, Kaepernick looked good after a certain number of games. And, Jimmy was an unbeatable force at the beginning with the Niners." I get it. I'm not going to question you. And then there'll be people that just don't believe that, he's Mullins, give it time. There's people in that category as well. So where are you with Purdy and the Niners? And then I guess the big question is either what do you fear if you're the 49ers? Is there a matchup you fear, or is there a weakness to the roster or to their talent that you fear will cost them the 6th Super Bowl? They're going to run at it here. They're going to make a run at it. They're going to the playoffs. They're going to have home playoff games. They got a real shot. Everybody knows that. What do you fear the most? What factor? Either your own O-line, your own secondary, your own quarterback, in this case, Brock Purdy, the health of your football team. What are you worried about? What or who, I guess, are you worried about as a 49er fan? Okay, so that's one. The Warrior game's another. I lost tonight betting Clemson. I don't know, I listened to my buddy. He said, go with Clemson. Clemson did not look good against Tennessee. Yeah. Tennessee didn't have anybody. Tennessee didn't have their number 1 quarterback, their 2 number 1 receivers, and they still beat Clemson. So that was kind of a disappointing game to watch tonight. But the big story, I think, is that Farhan Zaidi and the Giants finally came out from under the hole that they were in and admitted that, or at least had a press conference acknowledging that they're moving on and, they're not going to wind up getting Carlos Correa. And, it's some of the quotes, Dan, I know you've kind of responded to them. I'm going to my Twitter right now because I retweeted one that I think is really interesting. Okay, here it is. Danny Emmerman tweets out, this is a line from Farhan, and this is Danny quoting Farhan. I didn't hear it. This is how it reads. In a lot of ways, this offseason is an endorsement of the fact that there are a lot of players who want to play for the Giants, that want to be in California, that want to be in the Bay Area, that want to play for Cap, that want to be a part of the organization. All right. I mean, I don't know what to say to that. I mean, wasn't it him that was saying that, blaming the Bay Area not that long ago in an article saying that, this is a polarizing place for a lot of players, and he's the one who suggested that the players may not like the Bay Area. So
let's take a look at who they got. They got Mitch Haniger, who's
went to Midi,
San
Jose kid.
Yeah,
he came home.
He's from the Bay Area. He's home. He's coming off an injury
Minaya
season
pitched in the Bay.
He played 57 games last year. Minaya pitched in the Oakland. Also had a rough second half last year. Didn't pitch well.
Jock Peterson, they just gave so damn much money. He would have been an idiot.
Exactly.
To walk
Conforto
away.
Didn't play
at all.
Rogers playing with his brother. Okay. Right. So we're looking at
Stripling
had,
I guess Farhan knew him from LA.
Gave him a great offer that he wasn't getting anywhere else. Got an opt-out after year 1. Same thing with Minaya. Same thing with Conforto. Sure, if you give guys big money that no one else is willing to give them and give them a chance to opt out, and if they have a crappy year, they just take your money for a second year, absolutely they're going to come. I mean, if they're a wanted commodity by several clubs, doesn't seem like they're coming unless you're paying them over market value like they did with Correa.
It just is a gigantic, it's not our fault. We really like the roster. Now, is it that you here's the thing. I've seen 2 different quotes. One of them was we like the roster. Well, you can't like the roster. Who's at first base? Who's in center field? You lost Carlos Rodon. You really can't. I mean, you said you wanted to get younger and more athletic up the middle. You didn't get any. You got the exact same guys. So, I mean, come on. I mean, that's a little disingenuous, I think. And even if you're critical, I mean, how do you make sense of that? You can't really say that you love your roster
as much as anybody. But
the one thing I was a little bit excited about as a Giants fan is just Farhan's insistence that he loves the potential moves that still can be made. But let's not sit here and try to pretend that there's not major transactions that need to go down before this team can even be discussed as even a wild card contender. I mean, they're a 75 win type talent.
Yeah, maybe close to 80. Who knows? I mean, if everything goes well,
they were an 81 win team a year ago this year, and they lost Carlos Rodon.
Yeah, exactly. And they had to win like 10 out of 12 to just get to 500.
So it's kind of a weird. They're in a weird spot. I mean, let's be honest.
They were playing. Look who they were beating up last year at the end of the season: the Rockies and the D-backs. It wasn't like they were, beating anybody good. So here's the thing that bothers me is
Jeremy says 4 days in a row, guys. Yeah, we're going 4 days in a row. 4 days in a row. We're taking tomorrow off for New Year's Eve.
Yeah. At this point, people are saying, "Oh, we got to trade prospects for Reynolds." No, don't. If they
not
trade
for
Brian Reynolds.
Oh, Brian Reynolds. Oh,
if they trade like top prospects, let's say they go, "Oh, well, we can get Reynolds for Luciano, Harrison, and Matos." No, because Brian Reynolds will not make the difference with this team. If you have Correa, then you can trade prospects. But now they don't have enough to make this team a playoff contender. They don't have enough assets to trade away to get two more players that are, positive 3, 4, 5+ WAR players, win above replacement. They don't have that.
So what do you want to do? What do you want to do, Dan? I mean, I hear you. I get you. I'm totally with you. I agree.
That's why Correa was important
for what it is. So, I'm a solution guy. As we're sitting here, they have a lot of money. The one thing I think I'd want to do a deep dive on is who's making a lot of money that's available that you could get for a song just because you're willing to take on the money. And start
Baez would Baez with Detroit, would they let him go? He's not have a horrible contract. I think it is
pretty bad. I mean,
it is bad. Baez. Yeah, but I mean, it's not like 10 years. What is it, like 5 years left for it? I don't remember what he signed.
I'm going to look this up real quick just because we might as well
get on at least some excitement.
I mean, a guy like Baez at least is fun to watch. Now, I don't know about his professionalism. He seemed like he did a lot of really kind of, I don't want to say zany, but he just seems like he's done a lot of things where you're like,
he's he's a competitor, and he's, but I like that in a guy. I mean, you need somebody like that.
Let's see. Yeah, he signed a 6-year, $140 million contract with an average salary of $23 million.
So he's got 5 years left.
Yeah.
See, that's not bad because how old is he? 30?
Yeah, he's 30.
Yeah. So
7-year vet.
Even if you got 4 good years out of him and had to eat 1 year, but he's a exciting player. He gives you athleticism up the middle. He played second base, didn't he? For Detroit.
Yeah.
So then they can take Estrada and make Estrada, your not platoon guy, but your Chris Taylor type, where you move him around. You put him in left one day, you put him at second another day, you put him at short another day, third. Let Estrada play 4 to 5 games a week, and get some excitement going. That you don't have to give up probably a lot to do that, because you're taking on a contract where Detroit's not ready to win.
And, the question is, I mean, do they have that conviction? I mean, they have to go find some team. I don't know that seems like one avenue to use your financial might, but I don't know, maybe they want to keep their financial flexibility open going forward.
Well,
MF says, I love the
market
commitment from the Krueg show. Yeah, we're here 4 nights
Well,
this week.
Larry, the free agent market's not that great next year. It's basically Ohtani, and can't remember. I got to look it back up, but I think there was one other player of note. That was about it. Not like this year where there was, 4 shortstops plus Judge and had some other guys that were not bad hitters, but guys that are going to make a difference. Giants are several players away.
Yeah.
So,
Big Bad Bra says, here's $10. Getting rid of Trey Lance now is silly. Quarterbacks go down like crazy in the system for some reason. Purdy is a smaller guy. Trey Lance could shine if he tightens his throwing motion and stays healthy. Well, we shall see. We shall see. We're rooting for him. I mean, I think Trey's got a lot of talent. He does have he's got one game, that Houston game, he completed almost 70% of his passes. But then the 2 other games, he was under like 52%. So, that's the one thing, is that Purdy completes a higher percentage of the passes, and Purdy's taking shots down the field, and he's got mobility. So it's like, at this point, it's going to be very interesting to see how the quarterback situation gets handled in San Francisco. Romo 2001 says, here's $5. How can you get excited about players that will opt out after 1 year? You need to build a team that a fan base can root for more than 1 damn year. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I think all Giants fans are really sophisticated fans. They know the game, they understand, but I think they just want to have that 1 or 2 players that they can kind of sink their teeth into and say, that's our guy. That's the guy I'm going to tell my kid about. That's the guy that we're going to, buy a jersey of. That's the guy that we're going to go, see on a regular basis. And right now you've got, as Romo says, short-term commitments and, guys who are right on the major league bubble between major leagues and minor leagues. And,
well, Larry, the thing is they're in not a great situation, because you could say, well, that's a win-win, because if he has a great year, well, you got a good year out of him, and you can possibly trade him if you're not in the race. Well,
but they never trade him.
What happens if he has a bad year? What happens if Conforto and Haniger and Minaya and Stripling just average years? You're stuck with him next year, and you have no financial flexibility. So you're really counting on them performing. Otherwise, next year, just forget it. You got the same club with underperforming guys.
Here's a rumor that I saw as well that hell of this, hell of that is referencing. He says Gleyber Torres from the Yankees and taking on Aaron Hicks's contract. The Yankees are looking to get rid of Josh Donaldson, who doesn't fit with the Giants, or Aaron Hicks, who, Aaron Hicks doesn't, that's not, you talked about Aaron Judge, and you're going to wind up with Aaron Hicks. I mean, I would probably need more than Gleyber Torres to sweeten the pool for if I'm taking Aaron Hicks in his bad contract. I don't think he makes tons, but he, why take on a player in decline that the Yankees are just dying to get rid of without, you got to get something in return of significance. But I will say this, it's time for the Giants and Farhan to show some creativity, take on a contract. I suggested Madison Bumgarner because Arizona's got so many pieces. Take on a contract from somebody else, because your number one thing that you really have is payroll room and money. You got a ton of money.
Speaking of the Diamondbacks, Evan Longoria signed. Longoria signed today, and good for him, because
he lives there.
Yeah, and the Diamondbacks are an upcoming team. A lot of young players who are pretty talented. Longoria can add a stabilizing force to the dugout, and if he plays some games, stays healthy, he could still occasionally, hit the long ball. So I like the Diamondbacks, what they're doing. I really do. They've got young talent that they've developed, and they're all coming up together. And I think the Giants are going to struggle to get third place this year with the Diamondbacks. It's going to be a fight for third place.
Oh, I right now, I would say I would give the edge to the Diamondbacks. And don't sleep on Colorado. They have some big-time blue-chip players coming through their system. They got an outfielder named Zach Veen, who's just awesome. Mike Vaz says, Larry, what if the Giants trade with the Angels for Anthony Rendon and a top prospect? Yeah, I mean, that's the
They
kind
don't.
of
Yeah, but Rendon
exactly,
doesn't do much for me at this point with his
he's
contract.
right into DH.
Yeah, but you got
Danny,
VR.
that's not that you would be taking Rendon off their hands. You'd only be doing this for whatever else you're getting.
Well, if you're getting a good prospect, yeah, but I don't know that the Angels really have a whole lot. I mean,
there's that. But you'd have to get something with Rendon to make it worth your while. Austin says here's $4.99. How do the Giants not have a major splash player yet? Woof. I like the woof at the end there.
Splash player.
We got this one from Tyler. Says Farhan's delusional. I know it's spin, but I mean, come on. MF paying LaStella $11.5 million this year. Yeah, they DFA'd LaStella. Are they going to trade him?
Yeah, I wonder if they only got a couple days left. I think I don't know how many days you get between the waiver and the ability to pull him back with a trade or where he becomes a free agent. I know Hosmer's. He passed through waivers, it looks like. He's a free agent, I believe. There's nobody that's gone after him.
Kevin F. says, why did the Giants choose Gabe Kapler over Bob Melvin? Because it's not about, the local guy that the fans like. It's about who does Farhan know and trust and, want to be associated with. And Farhan knows Gabe from the Dodgers, and thus that's who we went with. Tony D says, Larry, your son Kevin won the second fantasy football league. I just missed in the championship game, which I would have won, but a fun season. Tony, well, I'm glad to see that. I'm glad that Kevin, he was kind of the commissioner of that half of the league.
Did he pull any rise?
Hopefully he did it above board.
Did he pull any rise or anything?
I don't think my son has a little bit more high ethics than that. It's not, it wasn't Rye's best moment, but in some ways very defining. This is an interesting one. Now, I thought about this too. Now, does this make me negative or does this make me like-minded with MF? I thought this exact thought the other day, and I'm like, you know what? I can't go with that yet. It's just people are going to think I'm going to have Crawford's wife mad at me. I'm going to have Giants Nation mad at me. MF says, wouldn't be surprised if the Rogers brothers struggle and one gets DFA'd.
Well, you got to do.
I would not be surprised either.
Well, aren't they identical twins?
Adding brothers to a team makes sense, right, Dan? But if it doesn't make sense if one is kind of not really major league, and obviously Taylor Rogers has had more success than Tyler. But I mean, I don't know. Either are established to the point.
I think they're identical twins. They're pretty interesting in that one's a hard-throwing lefty and the other's a floating, sinking, submariner, right? It's kind of strange, but Taylor Rogers started off pretty well last year with the Twins,
right? But look at the numbers at the end of the year.
When he went to the Padres, he was doing okay, and then didn't he get shipped from the Padres to Milwaukee? I think he did. Yeah. So he went from the Twins to the Padres. He was doing really well with the Padres closing, and then all of a sudden he fell apart and went over to Milwaukee, fell apart. So it seems to me, I shouldn't even say seems to me, it's pretty evident. Farhan's type of player is a guy who's either injured, coming off an injury, who had success in the past, or just had a down year and wasn't injured. And that's all he gets. He doesn't get anybody coming off of a stellar year. When's the last transaction that Farhan grabbed besides, I'm talking a position player, because Rodon.
Danny, we know
good.
Farhan. He's militant about hunting for value. You don't get value if you're getting a guy after a career.
Yeah, but this isn't Pittsburgh or Kansas City. This is the fifth highest market in baseball, the fifth richest franchise, the 41st richest
and I'm fine with him
franchise
doing it
in
any
all
way
of
he wants to
sports.
do it. But look what he's done. Look what he's done. Who's at first?
Yeah.
Who's at first right now? The best first baseman they got is who?
Probably Flores and J.D. Davis. And
isn't J.D. Davis playing third?
He plays both, first and third.
Okay, so I think J.D. Davis, the way I had it penciled in, it was Flores and Lamont Wade at first right now. You have Belt out there, but so far you don't have him. You got Tyro Estrada every day at second, Crawford at 36 every day at short. I think JD Davis is your everyday third baseman. Joey Bart with Austin Wins, because they didn't get Casale, even though they showed interest there. And then an outfield that has Yaz and Slater and Hanniger.
Conforto.
Or Conforto.
Starting the outfield supposed to be pretty much Hanniger and Conforto on the corners and Yaz in center. And I don't know if they're going to,
and then DH Peterson.
And I don't know, are they going to platoon? Are they going to?
It's not awful or anything. It's just not good.
I mean, yeah, it has potential if guys have career type years. I mean, if Conforto and Hanniger both hit 30 home runs again, and Jock hits 30 home runs again, and then Yaz hits 25 again, yeah, it could be a pretty surprising season. But that's not how sports generally work. When guys are on decline, that they all of a sudden all have a great year together, unless they've
got to do something else. Well, I mean, I would say first base and center field.
Hosmer. He's a free agent, cost you nothing, and he's a 4-time Gold Glover, hits 275, gap-to-gap hitter, huge ballpark. I don't know why you would go with Lamont Wade at first base. Lamont Wade's making like, what, 1.1 million, 1.3? Hosmer would be making less than that from the Giants. They'd have to pay him $700,000-800,000, whatever the minimum is.
Hosmer, neither's going to be a major home run threat, but Hosmer's going to hit 270.
Exactly. Wade hit 207.
Yeah, that's a 70-point difference for the exact same money.
And Wade can't hit left-handers if you put it on.
He's not a fielder. And people say, "Well, Hosmer's not a fielder." Hosmer's won 4 Gold Gloves.
Hosmer's a good.
This is where baseball stats are so nauseating.
Yeah.
People will tell you that they should go with Lamont Wade, and then we'll use some kind of metric stat from like this last year to tell you that Eric Hosmer, who's a 4-time Gold Glove Award winner, is just like an embarrassment at first. It's like,
I don't get it. Yeah, I had some clown on Twitter try to tell me that Wade's better because he's only made 7 errors since 2019 to Hosmer's 29. Except
watch the games.
Yeah, then I did the innings. And Hosmer's played 3,600 plus innings to Wade's 352. So if you extrapolate the whole thing out, Wade would have made 66 errors in that same time frame. So give me a break.
There's some people that are just they're so pro team that they just can't really analyze anything. Glass half full guy says, how close is Casey Schmidt? That's one of the big questions as well. Will Clark told me he thought Casey Schmidt was a major league, well above average major league defensive third baseman right now. And he hit pretty well last year. So Casey Schmidt, Vaughn Brown were the 2 guys that Will likes. Now, to me, in an ideal world, you show up in Scottsdale in March and Casey Schmidt and Vaughn Brown are not just up and coming, they're ready to roll. Right. And then maybe you got something.
Unfortunately,
if you really want to talk about getting lucky, that's where you could get lucky.
Unfortunately, neither on the roster, though. Neither on the 40-man roster. So,
but there's all kinds of guys that could be moved off this roster. It's not the deepest. It's far from the deepest roster in the game. They could figure out a way.
But Vaughn Brown is an older guy. He's
right, so he might be ready.
I would like to personally see him come on up. I think he's going to be 25 this year. Let me see. He's born in 98. Yeah, June 23rd, 98. So he'll be 25 in June. He better be up at some point this year. I don't care if it's September. Don't bring a guy up to the majors at 26. The track record's not good. If you haven't made the majors by 25,
Vicky Boone says their job was to find a player to take Buster's place. They didn't do it. And then maybe summing it up, Jay Marika 1 says this is incredibly depressing. I know it really is. I mean, it's gotten to the point where once Judge left and Correa left, and you saw that there was like no moves to be made, it's like, wow, you're sitting there going, how's Farhan going to save this? I mean, it is truly going to take some, if he's excited about the roster and excited about this year, I mean, he'd have to explain it to me, or he'd have to me, have some deal that's cooked up that we just cannot envision. Because right now, to say that this group's exciting is, the fans don't agree. We're living in alternate realities. If this group excites Farhan, this group, I don't want to speak for all the fans, because I know there's lots of fans that don't agree with me.
Yeah,
but I'm just guessing that the fans don't agree that this is an exciting group.
Well, some do. The Kool-Aid drinkers do, though, Larry. The Kool-Aid drinkers.
Nobody really thinks this is exciting.
This reminds me of high school, when I was in high school and Johnny LeMaster was the shortstop and I think Joe Patini was the second baseman. I'm like, yeah, this team is good. This team's going to rock.
Is going to be something. Joe Strain is going to replace Madlock, and yeah. Right.
Yeah, everybody gets, everybody's tied for first opening day, and you're hope springs eternal, right? It's spring, and everything is smelling roses. It looks good, and then all of a sudden,
you lose 105 games.
You get out of April, and you're 10-20. It's like.
Eric says, Larry, do you see, if the Giants are bad in the middle of the season, do you see Farhan keeping his job? Really depends.
I don't see them getting far.
I think you got to see some. I think this is the year that there needs to be something significant in his favor happen. Casey Schmidt has to come out of nowhere and be a National League All-Star. Vaughn Brown has to be a 2020 center fielder.
Kyle Harrison comes up and pitches.
Kyle Harrison wins 18 games and blows everybody away. They need some significant things to happen. We welcome Frank Red to the show. Hey, Frank, what's going on, man?
Gentlemen, how are you guys doing?
Good, well, Frank.
We came on after a really exciting Warrior game, and we decided we'll depress everybody by just talking about the Giants, and because they had a little press conference today to say nothing really, and they did it on a like, let's bury the news on a Friday, a vacation weekend,
Right.
So that's what's going on. But the Warriors tonight, 118-112, and we really should get more into this because it was a tremendous game. I love the Klay Thompson late dagger three. I mean, that was a thing of beauty. Klay had 31. Jordan Poole had 41. And the Warriors came back. The Warriors looked like they were totally dead in this thing, and the Blazers just gagged it away. Chauncey Billups was like shaking his head. You were there, Frank. I mean, what did you think of this game? I mean, Simons had 22. I thought Hart was incredible. The Warriors defensively were not doing anything. They got beat on the glass 50-46, all kinds of second chance points. And it just seemed like Portland was going to win this game going away. Grant looked good. But then Golden State finishes on an 18-2 run, and Blazers just stopped scoring. What did you think?
Yeah, I think that sometimes your players make you look really, really good, and sometimes they don't. I think Kerr made a lot of good moves, particularly in the third quarter. Like you said, the Warriors were up against it. But when he called timeout, and whatever he said or whatever simple defensive schemes that he made, it gave his guys confidence. They started to rally. Jordan Poole did the best Steph Curry impersonation I've ever seen. The confidence that he exhibited tonight, lifting those shots from three, driving, the layups, and it was less talking to the referee. And I think one of the key points with this iteration of the Warriors since Steph has been hurt is the nonverbal message that's being sent. Klay Thompson is playing more small forward than he is two guard. And that is helping him tremendously because he's playing the corners. He doesn't have to play throughout the entire court. Less dribbling, more catching and shooting. His confidence has risen. So he's a much more efficient now. And I think it's due to the fact that he's playing small forward and not two guard.
So that would make when Steph comes back, Maybe you start Steph and Jordan and Clay, Wiggins, and well, I don't know. I guess you'd have to have Looney. You couldn't go with Green, but maybe one of those guys is keeping Clay and Poole and Steph on the court at the same time. Seemed to work when earlier in the year and at times last year.
It's a good point to have, but and it doesn't mean that Clay can't play some two guard to start the game. But when you start to make adjustments and you start to insert players on the floor, I think that they have something going with Clay playing a small forward role where he doesn't have to, again, run throughout the entire court. He can kind of play the angles. Less dribbling, more catching and shooting in positions where he can quick shoot or make strong drives to the basket.
Plus, when they penetrate, like Poole is such a great penetrator, you could kick out to Clay in the corner because they dive down on him.
Right. I totally agree with that.
I love the way DiVincenzo looks with this team because he knows how to play. And not only that, he's a really underrated rebounder. He had 9 rebounds tonight to go with 9 points, 4 assists, and 4 steals. He's just a scrappy player, but I mean, I always felt like he knew how to play back at Nova. He had 31 in that national championship game that Nova, one of the national championship games that Nova won. I love DiVincenzo, and it's like, so you got Wiggins and Steph, your 2 best players out. They're coming back. So that will be your starting 5 with Clay and Looney and Draymond, and that pushes DiVincenzo and Jordan Poole to the bench and gives you a really good 7-man rotation. Come playoff time, that 7-man rotation should be about a 9-man rotation. So out of the rest of the guys on the roster, give me 2 guys that you think are going to be in that rotation. Tell me it's Kuminga. Tell me it's Wiseman. Or what do you think? Maybe even I could even see Patrick Baldwin because I think Baldwin is such a great shooter. He might be able to give you some of the things that Bielitsa gave you as far as just a floor spreader and stretcher. What do you think? Who's the final 2 guys in their rotation?
You and I have been on the same page from the start of the season, Larry. I'm never going to root against a player. Obviously, Kuminga has developed to the point where he has a role. He deserved the minutes that he has. I don't know why Wiseman didn't see the court when they were up 17. If you want to go, well,
he was unavailable tonight.
He's out tonight, Frank. He hasn't.
I think he was sick.
In a 3-on-3 game earlier today, he rolled his ankle, so he's got a little bit of an ankle sprain.
I'm sitting in the stands. I'm flabbergasted by that. At the end of the season, it has to be Kuminga and Wiseman. That's who it should be as far as I'm concerned, because you need some rim protection. You need somebody in that Duncan's role. Wiseman is showing that he can be trusted. He's only going to get better. And again, I'm not going to root against Lamb. I guess he had to play out of necessity tonight, and he made a 3. But if you're coming off your bench with DiVincenzo, Wiseman, Kuminga, and maybe slip in Ty Jerome if it gets really, really scarce out in the perimeter, you got a team that can beat any other Western Conference team in a series. And once you get to the finals, I think it's about matchups at that point.
Yeah, and I think, Frank, I think Lamb's days as a 2-way, I think he pretty numbered. They played 37 games. I think he's been up for almost all of them.
Right.
He's got 13 games left, maybe more, maybe a few more if he didn't suit up for a couple earlier in the year. But he's not going to be the guy that they go forward with. I think if they keep anybody on this roster going forward, if they don't make a trade, I think that Ty Jerome could get that 15th spot. Ty Jerome is a very skilled, smart basketball player. He is 6'5". He can switch. He can take guys on. He's getting better in this offense. He's understanding more of his role. Ty Jerome was an excellent basketball player at Virginia. So he may be one of those guys where you need kind of a guy like Damian Lee when he would maybe get 5-7 minutes in a game, in a playoff game. You might need that 10th guy some nights. Right. And he fits that role, in my opinion. unless they go outside and bring somebody else in. But I don't see anybody else. Jermichael Green could get some minutes when he comes back. But other than that, I mean, they're deep. They really are deep. And this has been a good thing for them. Hate to see Steph go down, but this is giving these guys a chance to develop and mesh and play together. And Moody's another guy that we don't even talk about that can always come in and give you 6-8 minutes of high tenacious defense, and he can knock the three down. So they're deep. They're as deep as they were really last year. They're starting to develop. And I think come March, you're going to hear a lot of people talking about a repeat.
You know, it is so interesting watching Golden State in that, you know, their season is just so simple in what lies ahead. I mean, it's like right now they're roughly 500. They're awesome, best in the league at home, worst in the league on the road. But it's like they're getting Steph Curry back. They're getting Wiggins back. Those are their two best players. You know, they probably, you know, they're aiming for like a 6 seed. There ain't nothing wrong with that. You know, they can win out of the 6 seed. They can easily get there and still like kind of rest everybody up. And then they've got a nice group of young players that they can choose from for these last 2 rotation spots, and everybody else is just going to be at the end of the bench. And if the perfect player falls out of the sky in the trade market, or the perfect player or situation falls out of the sky in the buyout market, they can maybe add one more piece to the puzzle. I don't even think it's for sure that they need it. The one thing I would just say is I think they've got Jonathan Kuminga right now he understands, like he was plus 15 tonight. He has been told you're going to play if you defend like crazy. And that's what he does. You know, and he surprises you with his development night after night. Tonight, the thing that was surprising is the 6 assists, but he only had 1 turnover. He blocked a shot. He had a steal. You know, he only took 2 threes, which is good. I don't want him taking a bunch of threes. But, you know, I mean, I'd like a few more rebounds. But Kuminga, if he just defends and rebounds, he's nice. And then James Wiseman. I don't want to see James Wiseman go back to Santa Cruz anymore. They don't have anybody better than James Wiseman. Jermichael Green is not better than James Wiseman. Baldwin is not better than James Wiseman. Lamb is not better than James Wiseman. James Wiseman needs to play. He needs to get minutes. And it shouldn't be in Santa Cruz anymore. He needs to play. I mean, invest minutes in James Wiseman. These games mean a lot, but they don't mean that much where you can't bring James Wiseman along. So to me, that would be my goal. You know, get Steph and Wiggins back. Make sure Kuminga and Wiseman are in that mix off the bench with Jordan Poole and DiVincenzo. And then maybe you got everybody else battling for maybe one spot on a certain night that you rotate through. So I think they're in a great spot. They got a young team. They've got a team that looks like they're growing together. That's the one thing I love about Kerr is that his teams don't fracture as the season goes on. He was a bench player, so he's really good at like bringing the entire team along from start to finish. And I love the way it's setting up for them. I don't see any team out west that can beat them in a 7-game series. I mean, you could make an argument for Denver. You can make an argument for the Clippers. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying them. I love Dallas. I don't think Dallas can beat them. So, you know, the finals is a totally different story. But I mean, if you're a Warrior fan, I think this sets up nicely. Get that 6 seed, figure out who's in your rotation, and stay healthy and bring it on.
I think you're painting a narrative, Larry, that is pleasing to all Warrior fans' ears because it's right on point. There's some irony also watching this team. Their second unit is actually at times more efficient defensively than the starters, and that's a good thing because it speaks to the growth that everybody's starting to see. Kuminga wasn't making the defensive plays at the start of the year, and certainly not last year that he's making now. He's making a lot of instinctive defensive plays. Even Wiseman, he has a long way to go, but mentally you can see him thinking before the plays happen. DiVincenzo, you know what? I love the guy. I didn't know he was this good. He is a lot better than I even thought that he was. And Dan, I got to give you credit. You were the guy who said he's hurt. When he comes back, he's going to really have a strong impact on his team. He has. Ty Jerome is basically playing the way that I thought that he would play. Really, really lights out from the neck up. He could make shots, and he was a competitor. But DiVincenzo is a different type of guy. He's not GP3, but he's GP3-like. He gets tough rebound. He's not intimidated by anybody on the court, and he's a shot maker. So the Warriors, as they're constituted right now with continued growth, can win another championship.
Oh, yeah. I totally believe that they can win a championship. And I think they're in a position right now, to me, when I look at the West, they are in 9th position right now, but a game and a half out of 5th, actually only 2 games out of 4th. I think at some point they creep into that top 4 because I'll tell you what's going to happen in the second half. They've got a road trip coming up after this big homestand. The first couple of games are like winnable. They go to San Antonio, then they go to Chicago, and then they go to Washington. All winnable games. And I know they're like 2 and whatever, 3 and whatever on the road. That's going to change in the second half. They'll win 2 of those 3, if not 3. Then they go to Boston and Cleveland. And I think they'll probably lose both of those. And then I think Steph comes back right after that. And then look out, because that's when they make road trips, it will be like, okay, do we need this one? Okay, we'll take it. They're going to win. What are they? 3-16, 17, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so they've still got 20 plus on the road. I'll bet you they win 10 at least on the road the second half.
We'll see. I mean, they're going to have to really, if you look at the numbers, when they go on the road, they score about 6 points less per game. And they just don't handle the conditions very well. And it's probably because they've got some young players. Glass Half Full guy says, here's $4.99. Going back to the Giant front, he says, I don't understand Farhan's plan when I look at this team. And can we please get someone in ownership to hold Farhan's feet to the fire? We've got this one from Kid Tricksta, who says, I love GP2, but Dante DiVincenzo is a good defender and a good offensive player.
Absolutely.
I hear you, but the only thing is, I mean, it wasn't that GP2 was a good defensive player. He was a lockdown defensive player. And he, this is the thing. When I look at GP2, he gave the Warriors a swagger on defense because he was the best athlete on the floor. Mm-hmm. Now Kuminga can play that role. If they just tell Kuminga, just play defense like a madman. Don't worry about anything else. Rebound and play defense like a madman. He has the athleticism to become a bigger version of GP2 and be that on the ball defender that really wreaks havoc. So there's that. Bielitsa's ability, I think, can be replaced by Baldwin. As far as a stretch big who can really shoot the ball and stretch the floor. Bielitsa didn't play a lot of minutes down in the playoffs, but I think Baldwin is a player to watch in the second half. And then it just comes down to Otto Porter, and who can replace Otto Porter. And Otto Porter gave you a 3-point shooter at 45% and a really good rebounder. So that might be a guy on the roster. That might not. They may have to make a move and go with somebody else at the deadline. So that to me is kind of one thing to watch for. Go ahead, Frank. Do you want to jump in there?
Say that again with this unannounced statement by the coaching staff, but if you watch the Warriors, you see it. Clay is kind of fulfilling that role. Clay is playing more small forward now than he is two guard, and I envision him doing that even more as they get deeper and deeper to the season. The players that you talked about, Porter was a pretty good perimeter shooter. But I tell you what, I like the way that Clay is playing right now. He is playing great basketball because he's not doing everything. The small forward position is a receiver position. It's not really a creative position in the NBA with the exception of a few guys. So the way that he is seemingly acquiescing to Jordan Poole now as the go guy and setting himself up to be a receiver, I think is going to bode well for him and certainly for the Warriors as they start to mesh all of these talented players together.
How concerned are you guys about Poole's turnovers? 7 turnovers tonight. He's averaging close to 4 a night without, since he's been playing Curry's minutes, he's been turning the ball over in bunches. 7 tonight. Yeah. What do you think? I mean, how do you cure? Can that be reined in at all, or what do you think of that?
Yes, it can be. Coach him up. I mean, that last possession where he tried to do some trick move and he kind of went behind his back and the ball flew out of bounds. That's all coaching. It's like, you know what, Jordan, these are the plays we need you to make. I think that, he's going to be embarrassed by those 7 turnovers. He's a much better player than that. So I think just being cognizant of what he needs to do and how to do it should make him more valuable of the basketball. And he shouldn't be getting 7 turnovers. I think that's fixable.
I got a question for you, Frank. As you coached, Kerr likes to play this closing small ball lineup to close out halves and into games and puts Green at the 5. Could you see with Green in there, Steph, Clay, Wiggins, and Poole, and Wiggs plays the kind of the power forward where Clay's the small forward and Wiggins can take his man either off the shot or drive to the hoop, and because Clay's not really a slasher where Wiggins is.
No, Wiggins is not only a slasher, he's a very good rebounder for his position. Exactly.
So that lineup could be they call it the death lineup or something like that. That could be their new death lineup, I think.
Offensively, listen, they overwhelmed Portland tonight. Portland was poised to win this game. They had better athletes on the floor. They had better overall talent. And the Warriors just turned into a bunch of shot makers and took the game.
Yeah.
So,
I'm looking at an article that says the Warriors. There's a rumor on the internet, the interwebs, if you will. The Warriors have been named the favorites to land LeBron James amid trade rumors.
What?
Oh, come on.
Sam Quinn of CBS Sports wrote an article about LeBron James trade destinations, and the Warriors were listed in the favorites tier amid the issues and turbulence that's going on in LA. Here's the quote. It says, hey, speaking of quotes, launching rumors, James wasn't even a little subtle in April when he said that Steph Curry would be the player in today's league with whom he most wants to play. The Bay Area isn't quite New York or Los Angeles, but still an extremely appealing market. Thanks to Silicon Valley, now we're selling ourselves to LeBron. Golden State's ownership has hinted that it doesn't plan to pay for a $500 million payroll in the near future, but perhaps they would change their tune if it meant access to all of the ancillary revenue streams that LeBron creates. The Warriors may not have felt they needed James to compete for a 5th championship before the season, but their poor start could make them more aggressive. What do you think of the idea, just the idea of LeBron finishing with the Warriors?
Go ahead, Janet, you take it, and then I'll jump in.
Well, the reason I wouldn't mind having personally LeBron, but I don't see the Warriors getting rid of who it would take to get LeBron, which would be
one of the
Wiggins.
4 following players they said would have to be in it to match salary. Yeah, Draymond, Klay Thompson, Jordan Poole, or Andrew Wiggins.
And I don't see them getting rid of any of those 4.
I don't either.
No, it's not happening.
That's why I don't see it happening.
No, if you told me Wiggins, Jordan Poole, and maybe some other stuff, I could see that. Draymond is not going anywhere. Clay is not going anywhere, and Steph is not going anywhere.
But they're not going to even get rid of Wiggins or Poole for LeBron for a year or two because those guys are the future. This future team is set up to continue to play when the big three's gone. You look at Poole, he takes over Curry as the leader of the offense, the team, and then you got Kuminga and Wiseman and Wiggins and
LeBron's playing like a 28-year-old.
PBJ. What's that?
LeBron is playing like a 28-year-old right now. Have you seen
him? He is.
It's killing.
I think after next year, after it starts to be like close to 40 after another year.
Owners are greedy, man. Players are greedy.
Well, the one thing that makes me even think anything about that is just the fact that, what could LeBron bring in revenue-wise to the organization? I mean, what would he bring in? I don't know. I'm not sure if he would bring in anything significant. But
I think it would be special, him and Steph playing together. I mean, because I do see LeBron at the point of his career where he wouldn't have to be the guy. He knows it would be Steph's team. And
this sounds crazy, but I mean, where would he start, or would he be the guy who is your ball handler on the second unit? I mean, the one thing you could make an argument that the Warriors could use another table setter to kind of be the distributor for on that second unit, somebody who's more dynamic than Ty Jerome. And I know Andre Iguodala was a secondary ball handler, but now he's 38. He hasn't made his debut. We're almost in January. I don't know. I'm not sure if he's going to provide anything really. But what do you think? Where do you put secondary ball handler as a need for Golden State?
I'm not overly concerned because, again, I think that Jordan Poole is better than most that you can bring into your organization, but he needs to be coached up, and he needs to understand that, you have to transform your game when you're with the second unit and become more of a distributor as opposed to somebody who's just going to go into your bag. So I see tremendous skill in him with the ability to play a number one option, and also play a guy who can facilitate. So I'm not really worried. I think if they can go out and get somebody in the market, there might be players out there, a Marquise Morris like on the Washington Wizards, somebody like that who might not be in the future for Washington, somebody like that who's really competent, then I have no problem with them bringing that guy in. But internally, I think they have enough right now with Jordan Poole, with Draymond, with Steph, with DiVincenzo. I think they got a bunch of smart guys who should be able to navigate that second unit.
Got a question. One more question for you.
Yeah, go ahead, Danny.
Frank.
LeBron, by the way, had 47 tonight. Put on a show on his birthday. 47.
And surpassed Big O in points or something like that. So you're the GM. You're Bob Myers. You got the chance to make the final decision. Lakers GM. Can't remember who's the Lakers GM again.
Rob Pelinka.
Pelinka. Yeah, Rob Pelinka. So Pelinka calls you and says, you can have LeBron, and it's one of the four guys that's got to go. And he says, any one of these four guys plus, say, Moody, and maybe another, a draft pick, future one. Who are you giving up of those four? If you've got to let one of those four because you want LeBron, which four are you saying parting ways with?
It'd definitely be Wiseman.
No, he wasn't. No, it'd have to be
Green, Wiggins,
Poole, or
no. I'm sorry, I said Wiseman. I mean Wiggins. I'm sorry.
Wiggins. Okay, so it'd be Wiggins.
Yeah, you would go.
Okay.
And let me say this: we're having fun talking about high pie in the sky trades. I don't want to trade anybody. I like the Warriors team as they are.
Me too.
This is all loony talk, right?
Yeah.
But the reason why Wiseman would be the guy who I would probably trade is because he doesn't have the built-up equity with the Warriors.
Oh, you mean Wiggins? Wiggins, yeah.
The Warriors conceivably have done more for him than he has done for them. And it is close, and this guy is awesome. I love his reclamation, his maturation that he has experienced with the Warriors. But they did a lot for him. And you know what? There might be another level that he can get to that as the Warriors are constituted, he's not going to get there with the Warriors. He's not. Maybe he needs to go to be that great player that he can potentially be. All right? And LeBron is primed and ready to win championships. He doesn't care about anything else. And that is the mentality of the organization. That is the mentality of all the players. That is the mentality of the coach. And I mean, this guy would be giddy playing in this system. Who wouldn't want to play for the Warriors? So Wiggins would go. But in the real world, I like this team, and I wouldn't make any moves. But if it was just, monopoly money we're playing with, then he would go.
I'll tell you the deal that I would be interested in making, and I've seen, here Mark Graves throws this out. He says Chris Duarte doesn't seem to be getting time in Indy. He would be a nice point guard backup. I don't necessarily think of Duarte as a point guard, but I do like him, and he's, you could flip Moses Moody and something for Duarte. They basically make the same money. That would interest me. Why? Because
they wanted Duarte first anyway, didn't they?
Yes,
I think the Warriors wanted Duarte for sure. He went in front. But also now, the Warriors are looking to win. Indiana's looking to kind of build. Moody's 20, Duarte's 25.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of those win-win, right? Warriors get a more polished version of Moody and a guy they can put in their rotation right away. And Indiana gets a player who's 5 years younger as they try to put pieces together and kind of rebuild their whole thing. To me,
so
that's
Duarte's
the kind of move that I think would make sense.
Duarte's like Brock Purdy and Moody's like Lance.
I mean,
he's
I think
ready.
Moody's actually pretty polished, and Lance is raw.
Yeah, he's more polished than Lance.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, I
guess in terms of experience, Moody was a one-year guy out of Arkansas. Came out after the 1 year, had some success last year at times, whereas Duarte wasn't he a 4-year guy at Oregon?
I think a 3-year guy, but
I think a 3-year guy, but he did something in between, right? He must have had an injury.
JUCO player.
Yeah, JUCO.
Oh, okay. So,
but I mean, I just think Duarte is a little bit more dependable and a little bit more polished, and he would be a nice player to add to the Warriors' second unit. And I think he would then take those minutes, whatever minutes they're debating that could be available. A guy like Duarte would give them another sniper from the perimeter, another guy who knows how to play. And he's a little bit older, a little bit more ready to assert himself. That's the kind of move I think, it's an incremental improvement, but it could be the difference between winning a title and not.
The Warriors would be giddy if they could get Duarte. I mean, for all the reasons that you're talking about, Lacob wanted him. Lacob slammed the table when
he did.
Yeah, he slammed the table.
He wanted Duarte, no question.
Yeah, big time. So, and I got a soft spot for Moody. Moody, to be his best, needs minutes. And not spot minutes with the Warriors. I think the Warriors like him, but I question whether or not they're going to give him the minutes that he really needs to develop. And if he was on Indiana, maybe a team that's not as good as the Warriors long term, I think he would get those minutes. I think he probably would develop. I saw the guy tonight, and he didn't have a very good night. He had a couple open shots that he missed, and I felt sorry for him because he's not getting the opportunity to get in the flow to really show what he can do. And
yeah, that's the toughest place. You know as well as I do, Frank, as a former player, if you can't get into a rhythm, you're and you get out there and you miss a shot, right, or maybe it's two. You're kind of looking over your shoulder like, crap. You can't get into that rhythm. And Moody does need that because when he gets into a rhythm, Moody's a guy that can put up 20 a night.
He's a good player.
Yeah, he's got a heck of a stroke. And when he gets going, and in basketball, it takes rhythm to get going. You can't just, and that's the problem with this team is that they are deep, and guys like Moody, unless it's, a back-to-back game where guys are sitting, he's not going to get a chance to play very many minutes.
On the NBA tip, I don't know if you saw this, Kings beat the Jazz tonight. 126-125. Sabonis is playing with an avulsion fracture in his thumb.
Huh?
Yeah.
28 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists, playing with a fractured thumb. What do you think, Frank? Are the Kings going to make the playoffs this year? And they've got the playoff drought going, but man, I mean, that's rare toughness to play with a fractured thumb. And if he had surgery, he'd miss a bunch of time. Instead, he's gonna play with it.
No, he's a tough guy. And the Kings are definitely going to make the playoffs this year because Mike Brown's a tough guy. And he's not going to allow any of these guys not to give maximum effort and be accountable. And the one thing that Mike Brown did that all coaches want to do, but not all are empowered to do, Mike Brown went out and got a staff that is going to support his ideology and his philosophy. And any inkling of dissent is going to get checked by Mike and also his assistant coaches. So they are aligned properly. They have above average talent. They play tough defense at home. And I mean, you would expect Sabonis DeMontis to be a tough guy because of who his dad was. His dad was one of the toughest players ever to play basketball. There's no way he's going to sit there and watch his son not reach his full potential. So the Kings are probably playing a little bit better than I thought they would, but I knew they'd make the playoffs because they have good talent. They just needed to be accountable. They needed good coaching. They needed structure. And, when you have a threshold that allows you to play with pain, that says a lot about you. Even though I think he is an all-star, he probably should sit out the game, if he can rest some. But he's been everything that the Kings hoped that he would be and more. He's been outstanding.
Who is the Nets, by the way, the hottest team in the league? They've won 9 straight, like 13 of 14. Durant's playing like an MVP. Jacques Vaughn has stepped in and just kind of simplified everything. And, they're getting contributions up and down the roster now, and everything's starting to click in Brooklyn. What do you make of the Nets?
Yeah, I admire Steve Nash. Played against him, and he's always been courteous to me when I was in the locker room. I love the guy as a human being, but I question whether or not he was nasty enough or if he would confront these really egomaniac type personalities the way that he needed to. I mean, maybe I think he would have eventually been a successful coach, but I think everything that has changed the Brooklyn Nets, it's really about communication. And you made an interesting point when you talked about simplifying what they do. Kyrie and KD are essentially playing one-on-one basketball right now. That's what they're doing. And they feel very comfortable playing that style of basketball. It means that the auxiliary players don't have to do a whole lot. They can really focus on their roles. And they're playing great basketball right now because they're playing their games. And it is very simple basketball. You watch them play. I'm not surprised that they're winning. I'm not. I think it was just a matter of fact of getting a coach in there who was going to be able to, communicate in a way that the players would respond.
What do you think? I know you're checking out the Niners from afar. They're rumbling towards the playoffs. 2 games left in the regular season. They play the Raiders in Vegas on New Year's Day. What's your give us? We're all in the micro. You're probably not as digesting it on a micro basis, so you can give us more of the macro view. Give us your thoughts on what you're seeing from the 49ers this year and Brock Purdy and them as a Super Bowl contender, and your thoughts.
Well, growing up in New York, I've seen this act play out before. Jeff Hostetler stepped in for Phil Simms and led the Giants to a Super Bowl win. He did just enough to win. And Kyle Shanahan is one of the top 5 coaches in the NFL? Yeah. I mean, he makes you better, all right? So he's not going to put Purdy in harm's way. Or if he tries to do too much, he'll rein him in. The 49ers are aligned to run the football. That's how you win in the playoffs. So, I mean, if you run the football, you have the best defense in the NFL, and you have a quarterback who is beyond competent, you got a chance to win. So I like everything about what the 49ers are doing right now. I'm a defensive guy, and they have all-stars, Pro Bowlers, on all the levels of their defense. Purdy has something going with Kittle. I love the tight end. I'm a Mark Bavaro guy. So to see Kittle doing what he's doing now, even with Debo being out, nobody wants to play San Francisco. They don't. I mean, I like Dak, but, Dak has too much rope. I love Dak. But that crucial mistake that he potentially might make
turns it over.
Yeah, so the 49ers, they're in a great position right now to win it all.
I love what you said there, Frank, about winning in the playoffs. You win with a running game, because we kind of forget that. We're watching Brock Purdy the last 4 games, and we're seeing all of a sudden the passing take off. They're actually at times running or throwing the ball more than they're running it. But when you get to the playoffs and then you add Debo and then that run game, and then you got Elijah Mitchell coming back to back up with McCaffrey, I mean, you got a 1-2 combination there that is scary, that is going to open up the passing game. This team could dominate in the playoffs if they're healthy. In fact, I would say if they're fully healthy with all their weapons and the offensive line's intact, I don't see anybody beating them.
By the way, MF says, Kittle says the Niners are staying off the strip like that. No distractions. I actually caught up with him. You want to see this little dialogue? It's only 2 minutes.
Sure.
Here's me yesterday talking with George in the Niner locker room.
You guys better have good questions. There's not a lot of them.
Yeah, seriously.
Sure. What do you guys want to know? Yeah. I'm here for you guys.
What's it like making the Pro Bowl?
Awesome. It's a wonderful experience to be voted in by all fans that watch the game. But really, I learned early on that the eye in the sky doesn't lie, so the tape, right? So everything that you put on tape is watched, whether it's practice, whether it's game film, and to be rewarded by my peers and other coaching staffs, like to get rewarded to go to the Pro Bowl, it means a lot, because that's like one thing I pride myself on is good tape. And so put good tape out there and then make a Pro Bowl, it means a lot.
Brock has connected with you a couple times the last few weeks down the seam, and it seems like a difficult throw to make, but he's making that throw look pretty easy. Talk to us a little bit about that. Pretty easy. Yeah. But what do you ultimately, that throw, that seam throw, that's a difficult pass sometimes to make.
Yeah, I'll keep saying about Brock. He's played the quarterback position. He played 4 years in college. He has a lot of starts. He's made all the throws in college. And yes, the NFL it's faster, bigger bodies, it's harder, defenses are smarter. But I mean, he's made those throws before, and he's just coming out, and he's just a natural out there. You can really tell, like, no throw's too big for him. He's excited. He wants a challenge. He had a throw today. Larry looked like he curved a ball and around a defender to Ayuk. It was wild. And he said, "Oh, that wasn't a very good throw." And I'm sitting there like, looked really nice to me. So he's a hard critique on himself. He's good in the huddle. I mean, he's done nothing but been great for us.
Curved a throw, like bend it like Beckham. He just kind of curved it in.
I don't know what's no, like Wanted with Angelina Jolie, like the bullet. That's what I pictured in my head. I was like, sheesh. I don't think he even tried to do it, but that's what I saw.
There's a lot of Pro Bowl players here. There's 13 or 14 guys when you consider the alternates. Mm-hmm. I don't know how much you talked to John Lynch, but John Lynch and those guys, Adam Peters, those guys are hitting. And they're not just hitting on day one of the draft. They're hitting late in the draft, day 3, and they're hitting after the draft.
That they are.
Are you taking notice of that in here? Because this is a deep room right now.
It is. This is a fantastic locker room. My favorite thing is the guys they bring in are high-character guys. I think we've only had like maybe 1 or 2 years where there's been a couple guys that didn't fit the culture, and within a couple weeks they were gone. And so I've really appreciated John and Cal keeping this locker room clean, full of guys that we want to be around, whether it's how they are on the field or how they are off the field. And we only bring great guys in here. And when you have a lot of great guys that have the same goals, high character, you push each other every single day, and that's why you have so many Pro Bowl guys, whether it's active or whether it's the alternates. And it's every position, special teams, defense, offense, they're all over the field. And there's probably a few guys that should be starters that are only alternates, and probably some guys that aren't even alternates that should be. And it's the NFL, and not everyone gets they don't get the spotlight on them all the time, but guys are getting better. And you look at this roster, I think more guys will be in the Pro Bowl even next year.
You ever been in Vegas on New Year's Eve?
No, I don't think so.
Will you guys get a chance to enjoy it at all? Probably
Goodness
not.
gracious, no. We're fine. We're fine. And Saturday night, probably at a later time, so we'll go right into meetings, right into bed. We're sitting 30 miles off the strip.
Will you look out the window?
No, my blinds will be closed. My wife and my family will be enjoying New Year's Eve, and my phone will be on mute, so I don't have to get any of their photos.
There you go.
Thanks, guys.
Good answer.
Collins talked about a couple of times.
All right, there you go. A little George Kittle. What did
You went mute there, Larry. Larry, you're mute. You hit mute. Check your mic.
Well, I think he said, what did I think about it? I love his honesty, man. This dude he's eloquent, he's honest, and he's matter of fact. And it gets me giddy because regardless of the sport, that's the type of teammate that you want to have.
Yeah.
You want to push each other every day in practice, because it matters, because there's a oneness about what everybody is there for. But you want somebody who you would feel comfortable being in your living room, because he's a class act. And I think that he expressed how important it was for the 49ers community to have guys like that within their organization. So I'm a big Kittle guy because, again, he wasn't a first-round draft pick. He had a good college career, but this is a guy who's had to come in, literally start at the bottom, and work his way methodically up to a Pro Bowl level player. And that's what I was. I was never like a big-time star or anything, but I could compete against the best because of my work ethic. And, I mean, Kittle he's what the 49ers are used to, the Brent Joneses of the world, those type of individuals. So I love hearing him talk. I love his truth. I love his journey. And he's the type of guy to make your organization better.
Yeah. What's really impressive, too, is that since Brock Purdy has come in, he's connected consistently with George Kittle. Mm-hmm. And he's making that seam pass. He's making a number of passes in the middle of the field. But what's really impressive is that we're seeing Kittle with those run after the catch big plays because the quarterback's accuracy is leading towards, George to open spaces.
Right.
So Brock is reading the coverage, waiting for George to kind of sprint to an open space and then hitting him in stride. And you're seeing Kittle, Brock Purdy, there was a stat today. In fact, I have it here from the 49ers. The 49er PR staff put this out. This is pretty incredible, guys. I mean, when you really think about this, wait until you hear this. This is a Brock Purdy stat. Brock Purdy this year, despite starting only 3 games, Brock Purdy has 6 passes down the field of 25 or more yards. It is the 7th. There's only 7 other players in football that have that many, and it's like Hurts, Derek Carr, Geno Smith, Tua Tagovailoa, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and Patrick Mahomes. So Brock Purdy is throwing the ball down the field. So this idea that, he's a smallish guy and he's a game manager and he's dink and dunk, and no, he's not. He's throwing the ball down the field as much or more, really, than every quarterback in the NFL. So, that's where it's like, if you're sitting there watching this, there's nothing for me, like there's nothing more to see. Like with Nick Mullins, when he was in there, it was like, well, he's making some interesting plays, but everything's within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. Brock Purdy is not making plays 5 yards, within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. He is breaking contain, using his quickness, getting outside, extending plays, and his improv off schedule stuff is incredible. And he's finding guys downfield in stride and open. So if it continues with this defense, the Niners are going to have a great chance to win the Super Bowl.
Keep your eye on Iowa State's coach. He was coached very, very well in college.
Matt Campbell.
Yeah, Matt Campbell is on the radar of a lot of NFL teams. And I think as opposed to making that next jump to a, quote, real Power 5 team, he might make the jump to the NFL because if you go back to Brock Purdy's junior year at Iowa State, they were talking about this guy being a first-round draft pick. I don't know how true it was, but they were talking about him being a high draft pick because they were playing so well and he was playing so well. And then his senior year wasn't quite the same. But when I watched him play throughout his college career, he was always competent. I was like, this guy can make all of the plays. So he's one of those guys that you put him around really, really good talent, he plays a lot better. So am I surprised that he's playing as well? Yeah, you don't expect that from a guy who hasn't played all season. But intellectually, about playing the quarterback position, I'm not surprised at all because I've seen him do it throughout his career, and I also seen his coach hold him accountable.
Who are the most mature rookies we've ever seen in any sport? Because this guy, I mean, I know technically Ichiro was a
Magic,
rookie, right? But yeah, I mean, Magic, to do what Magic did, I mean, I was only 10 years old in 1980, but Magic Johnson, for those of you who are, younger and never saw it, basically with an injury to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar,
Game 6,
tipped, basically played center, even though he played point guard, he played center as a rookie, tipped, was out there for the opening tip against Caldwell Jones, wound up with 42 points, 14 rebounds, and 7 assists. And the Lakers beat the Sixers and won the NBA title on the floor of the Spectrum.
What's amazing is a lot of people who may be looking at basketball today who are younger saying, center, what's the big deal? Back in 1980, center was the main position in the NBA. It was like, you got to have, a top center to win. And he took over. Didn't he score like 42 points?
42, 14, and 7.
Yeah.
The great line, and I didn't realize this until I saw the documentary on the Lakers, but supposedly Magic, as they're getting on the plane to Philadelphia, gets on the plane and says, no fear, Magic is here.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, for a rookie
yeah.
in the NBA Finals to say, don't fear, Magic is here. I mean, that just takes confidence and just blows it right out of the
you're
water.
A rookie out of position, and you win the NBA championship on the road against a pretty darn good Sixers team.
Oh, they were favored.
Yeah, exactly. They were Dr. J and
Dr. J, Bobby Jones, Mo Cheeks. That was Caldwell Jones. Now that wasn't the 83 Sixers.
No, they won it.
And that team was, by the way, Andrew Toney used to pop for like 42 off the bench, routinely.
I wanted to go back and say something on the Kittle thing when he talked about the chemistry in the locker room and how, Lynch and Kyle, they've kind of brought in guys that everybody gels with. There's something to be said for having an ex-All-Pro Hall of Fame player, run the organization, is in the locker room, is down there. He knows what's going on. I think the only other executives that I can recall in the NFL that were former GMs and Hall of Famers was Ozzie Newsome and Elway, right? Was there any others that you can think of?
Hall of Famers that were executives?
Well, I think there was only the three players that I can even think of that have been recent general managers or executives running the football show was Newsome and Elway, but most of them are either scouts or former scouts or But what those
Reggie
guys,
McKenzie played.
That's right, Reggie. But I mean, what Lynch has done since 2017 with zero experience comes out of the booth, so to speak, in broadcasting and comes in with Kyle. I mean, you got to give a lot of credit to Jed York because he really messed up for several years after Harbaugh. We went through Tom Sula. We went through, they went through
Chip Kelly,
and and just all the years. I mean, even prior to that, I know they had before Harbaugh, they had Singletary. I mean, guys that just really weren't cut out to be the head coach, and he brings in, Kyle and Lynch, and kind of says he takes himself out of it. He was prior to that, he was similar to Jerry Jones. He was like, I want my hands in this, and I don't really know what I'm doing. And he's fumbling around, and he's trying to, and he learned. Look, I'm turning it over to football guys. And
it happened to Eddie D too. Eddie D, I talked to Eddie D about this. He had people in the NFL who recommended Joe Thomas. Joe Thomas was from Youngstown, Ohio. So Eddie was from Youngstown, and they hired Joe Thomas, and they had to fire him a couple years later. And eventually he handed the reins to Walsh and McVay, and got out of the business of, just basically allowed them to build the thing up. So, yeah, I mean, John Lynch has done a really good job. I mean, if you think about it, Adam Peters, Martin Mayhew, he surrounded himself with top tier people. He didn't clear house of every Niners scout, but I'm sure he's perfected their whole process. And the proof's in the drafting. I mean, DJ Jones, day 3 pick, George Kittle, day 3 pick, Raheem Mostert, undrafted free agent, Jeff Wilson, undrafted free agent, Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. I mean, we can go up and down the line. They got about 6 or 7 undrafted free agents.
Juwan Jennings. Tons of them.
Lots of late round picks, lots of day 3 hits. And then this year, I think Lynch deserves the executive of the year because he traded for Christian McCaffrey at exactly the right time. If McCaffrey doesn't come to the Niners, he probably goes to the Rams. The Niners wind up beating the Rams and have not lost since, or really have not lost since the KC game, I should say. But they wound up beating the Rams, and if they had lost that game, they would have dropped like 3-6, and who knows?
3-5. I think they would have been 3-5.
3-5.
They were. They've only got 4 losses.
Think about Lynch, though. I mean, names don't mean everything, and sometimes they do. This guy went to Stanford, man. He has a
right.
So he has an analytical mind. All right, and then when you watched him play football. This dude was one of the more physical players ever to play his position. And he also thrived in several different cultures, all right? The Tampa Bay Bucks is a different culture than the Denver Broncos. And yet, he was always able to establish himself as a leadership type of guy who people believed in and they trusted. What that speaks to, in my opinion, is realness and truth, because everybody can identify with the truth. You might not like it, but you can identify when someone tells you what you need to hear, but maybe what you don't want to hear. And I think that he's taken those characteristics. I mean, he did it as a broadcaster. He was a solid broadcaster. And as a front office guy, he's taken those same characteristics and utilized them properly as an executive. And I got to think that sometimes even he and Cal get into conversations that are not always peaches and cream, but they have them anyway. And they're respectful because they respect each other and they get the job done. So I'm not surprised how well he's done.
It's interesting too. It's like, one of the things that Jed learned, I think, is that it's really, the central relationship in any football organization is the GM and the head coach.
Absolutely.
And they better be on the same page. Like one of the mistakes that many young ownership groups make, and like the Denver Broncos are making it right now, they hired George Payton as the general manager, and then Payton hired the guy that they just fired. Danny, what's the Broncos head coach? Nathaniel Hackett. Nathaniel Hackett. So Payton hires Nathaniel Hackett. Hackett couldn't hack it, no pun intended. And so now they're hiring, they're going to hire a new coach. But from what I've read, the new coach is going to report directly to the owner.
Right.
So now you've got a head coach reporting to the owner. You've got a general manager that precedes him. They're not wed together. And that was the problem with Jim Harbaugh and Trent Baalke. I mean, they both were competent, but they weren't tied together. And then all of a sudden it's like starts to become a game of who can survive the other, who has more leverage. And it's a bad situation. There's a trust between John and Kyle that is the foundation for which the 49ers are built. And, John Lynch, if you really think about it, Hall of Fame football player, very good broadcaster. If he wins a Super Bowl and wins an Executive of the Year award, how many guys truly are great at multiple careers? I mean, being an executive and being a safety are not the same job description. Being an executive and being a broadcaster, not the same job description. And yet this guy climbed the mountain, in all 3 phases and is a Hall of Fame football player, a top tier executive and a well above average broadcaster. So, talented guy. And I thought it was interesting when I read that he had passed a big money from Amazon to stay with the Niners. And that just told me that, you know what, he's committed to seeing the thing, through to completion. He came here to win a Super Bowl. He hasn't won a Super Bowl. There's a price that you pay in football, for your family pays for the hours that these guys commit. So I don't think it's forever. And John's got a family. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if he accomplished his goals and had a nice little run, maybe won a couple rings and then checked out, because, your family pays a price. It's 100-hour work weeks. It's total dedication. Most people are not totally dedicated to their job the way that a guy like Shanahan or Lynch is, or any NFL head coach or general manager is committed to their job. So, I think it wears you out, but he's done an incredible job. He really has. I mean, when you look at the Niners roster, they haven't won the Super Bowl, but they've had among the NFL's deepest rosters virtually every season that Shanahan's been here. Shanahan can't say, I don't have the players. He's got the players.
No, and he develops players. I mean, when I look at the head coach of any sport, I immediately look at the assistant coaches, because as a head coach, part of your responsibility is to develop your assistant coaches and hold them accountable to the point where if they decide that they want to be head coaches, they're ready to do it. Yeah. And I admire that about the 49ers. I really do. And it's in the work, and you see it. I mean, just having a big name head coach, like I love Rex Ryan. Rex Ryan is kind of a big personality, and he's easy to get behind. But throughout his coaching career, at some point, things started to unravel a little bit. And I just question whether or not all of his coaches were aligned. Now, he has one of his former coaches on the 49ers staff, a really, really good coach. But my point is, Shanahan has excellent assistant coaches. He really does.
No question. We just hit 9,000 subscribers 3 days ago. We are now, to the moment, at 9,567 subscribers. We've picked up 567 subscribers in the last 2 days. So I just want to thank everybody for that. And we're trying to get to 10,000 before, probably by New Year's Day when we do our Niners Raiders postgame. So if you're in the chat, if you're one of the couple hundred people that are in the chat right now, and you are not a subscriber, if you could hit like and subscribe, that would help the channel. By hitting like, all it does is it just helps the algorithm and gets more people to see our live streams and our videos. And if you hit subscribe, all that will do is, it's free, of course. You'll just get an alert every single time we go live. You'll get an alert that we're going live, and then you can follow us on a regular basis. So 9,568 right now subscribers, and we're trying to get 10,000 before the end of our show on New Year's Day, that night after Niners Raiders. Frank, we're going to let you go, man. Have a great rest of your night. And you know what? Happy New Year, man. We've really enjoyed getting your perspective on these shows. And we hope that, 2023 allows us to wrap with you quite a bit. I'm especially, last year we really had a lot of fun when the Warriors got on this playoff run the last month, and then the whole playoffs go on for a month. And, basketball in the postseason is so great to kind of go through and talk about different sequences and, debate refs calls. That's where I think it really comes to life. But we're really looking forward to having you as part of that for the Warriors this year as they make another title run. And you and I have been friends for a long time, but we always enjoy getting your perspective on the Giants, the Niners, the Warriors, life. We've been playing your song at the end of the show. And Danny, we have Danny and Rye basically, put their dogs on camera, and it's been very cool. It's been very cool. And a number of people really, really like it. So,
well, listen, thanks a million. And Dan, it's been great developing a relationship with you and sharing your wisdom and making me laugh and all that good stuff. But let me close with this. I'm gonna say goodnight. The 9,500 subscribers that you guys have, you have them for a reason. You've been consistent. You've been entertaining. You've been informative, and you've been what an audience wanted. So props to you guys. It's not hard to develop a station that has on the cusp of 10,000 subscribers that will tune in when they're notified that you guys are online. So as a fan of intelligent conversation, it could be about movies, sports, whatever the case, I'm a big fan. And to occasionally be a part of it is a lot of fun for me and truly an honor. And as your friend, Larry, like you said, we've been friends for a long period of time. I'm one of those guys that roots for their friends. And there's nothing more that warms my heart and makes me more happy than to see you crush it in ways that I'm sure you and your family knew that you could do. But to see the rest of the world tune in, and hear you be meticulous in your commentary about everything, and then have Dan interject really salient points about sports and make folks laugh,
I got one more for you, Frank, before you leave.
Here we go.
This is from Derek Brantley. Oops, right here.
Can Frank run the Giants?
No. Absolutely not.
I think you could. I think you could.
Hey, Frank, Happy New Year. Have a great night.
Bye-bye.
There you go. The great Frank Red in the house. All right. Great stuff there. Always love rapping with Frank. And as I said, we go way, way, way back. We've been talking Warrior Ball forever. Carl Foster.
Good soul, Frank, man. I like Frank.
Yeah, Frank's a good man. All right, let's do this. Let's play our commercials right here. We'll come back with some final thoughts and a few little nuggets after this on The Krueg Show.
Larry Krueger here for Telmetrics. Thanks to Casey Bateman and the good people at Telmetrics. If you're an occupational therapist, if you're an orthopedic surgeon, a chiropractor, a physical therapist of any kind, Telmetrics is designed for you to use in your practice and will greatly benefit your patients. Telmetrics uses computer vision and artificial intelligence and provides a platform for outpatient rehab therapy services, both in the clinical and the telehealth environments. So using Telmetrics can improve your patient's experience and much more. So for all your sports injury needs, or if you're a physical rehabilitation specialist of any kind, make sure you use telmetrics.co, TELMETRIX.co. And thanks to Casey Bateman and all the good people at Telmetrics for being a proud sponsor of the Krueg. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Dan Coccimilgio. Dan is a buddy, and he is a phenomenal retirement planning specialist. And you can contact him today at securemoney.com or at his number, 925-628-9966. There's a lot of uncertainty in our world right now, and you want to make sure that your money is secure. That is the key. Danny's got 25 years of experience, born and raised right here in the Bay Area, and he can help you get an immediate 10% premium bonus on your principal retirement account. So give him a call, 925-628-9966. He'll make an appointment with you, and you can sit down. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of a deal. He'll consult with you and come up with a strategy to get you going to where you want to be. Once again, 925-628-9966, securemoney.com on the web. And thanks to Tony Cassera and the good people at Cassera's Italian Menswear. They are housing the Krueg Show t-shirts, and they're a proud sponsor of the show as well. The Krueg Show t-shirt, the Krueg Show podcast t-shirt is available there at their store in Dublin. Their address is 7372 San Ramon Road in Dublin, California. And go see Tony Cassera and get yourself a Krueg Show t-shirt and support the show. And special thanks to our sponsor, New York Style Italian Sausage. That's right, NewYorkStyleSausage.com is their website. Phenomenal product, whether it's the breakfast sausage, the Italian mild, the Italian spicy, the chorizo. You cannot go wrong with New York Style Italian Sausage. Once again, NewYorkStyleSausage.com. Often imitated, never equaled.
We grew up with a Sunday dinner. That means no matter how busy you were, no matter where the hell you were, you came to dinner on a Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday dinner without sausage, it's like a church without God. You know, how can you go to church if you don't believe in God? You know, and along with the sausage also became the discussions. That was discussion night. You know, it wasn't a typical family that you sit there and you're quiet, you know, and you don't talk with a mouthful. Oh no, man. Italians talk when they're eating. Italians even talk when they're sleeping. And definitely we talk with our hands. So if we can't express it through our mouth, through our lips, we express it with our hands. So, and that's what sausage is, really. It's an expression, you know, that life is good.
So New York style sausage was started over 70 years ago. We are the largest producer of fresh Italian sausage on the West Coast.
What makes our sausage in New York style is really the recipe came from back east, from New York, you know, from Connecticut.
If you look at all of our labels, there's maximum 4 or 5 ingredients, which we're really proud of.
There's no preservatives, no MSG, fresh in, fresh out.
The pork comes in fresh, goes out fresh. There's never any freezing throughout the process. We've always used fine quality cuts. We're never going to deter from that. It's one of the reasons why our sausage is so good. I guarantee you put our sausage up against anybody else's from a flavor standpoint, no one will beat it, hands down.
Hey, do yourself a favor and do me a favor. Go buy a package of the New York style Italian sausage. Guaranteed you will love it. Guaranteed.
Hey, Pasquale. Dan Coccimilgio here for the Krueg Show. Just picked up for the very first time some of your New York style Italian sausage here at Sam's Club in Arizona. My wife just cooked it and I'm about to take a bite. Man, this is good. Pasquale, when you winked and said you guaranteed we love it, you're right. This stuff is absolutely amazing. Best sausage I've ever tasted. Thank you, Pasquale.
All right, welcome back to the Krueg Show. Larry Krueger, Dan Coccimilgio, coming down the stretch on a Friday night. Our final live stream of 2022. Started doing these live streams in March, and really enjoying it, and have enjoyed it really throughout the baseball season. Have enjoyed it throughout the basketball season. We've incorporated a bunch of different people, and we've just had a lot of fun. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for making 2022 just an incredibly rewarding year. We have great things planned in 2023. We're going to have more Giants coverage, more Niner coverage, more Warrior coverage, more NFL draft coverage. So we're really looking forward to it. We've got this one in the chat from Cash. Hello, Larry. How are you today? I'm doing good. I'm doing really, really, really well today. I was on 95.7 The Game this afternoon between 2 and 6 with John Dickinson, JD. We were chopping it up, talking a little bit about the Warriors, a lot of Niners. That was a lot of fun. And then check me out on Sunday at 11 a.m. on 95.7 The Game with Lo Neal, as we will lead you into Niners Raiders from Las Vegas. And then afterwards, Danny and me and Rye will join you on this channel, the Krueg Show, for postgame. And hopefully, I'm looking at where we're at as far as the the subscribers. We're currently at 9,571. So we're creeping up by the minute. So if you're in the chat and you've yet to subscribe to the Krueg Show, hit that like, hit that subscribe to the channel. Help us get to 10,000 before January 1st. we'd like to get there. I think if we don't get there January 1st, we'll get there soon thereafter. But it would be our goal of the week is to try to get to 10,000 before the end of the week. I want to thank everybody, though, associated with the channel. Len Dempsey, Danny, Ryan, of course, Danny as a sponsor. Also, Casey Bateman from Telmetrics, Mike D'Ambrosio from New York Style Italian Sausage Company. I want to thank all of you guys. I want to thank the 49ers for giving us an opportunity to go into their locker room and, do interviews with their players. And, now as you can see that, we're getting a chance to get to know some of the players, what you can potentially, draw out of the players as far as, interviews and that kind of thing gets exponentially greater as you get to know them and they get to know you, and there's that trust and that bond that's built. And then suddenly you can get guys talking. I would say, we've had a lot of good interviews this week that I've really enjoyed, from George Kittle to Javon Kinlaw, Tabor Pepper, and others. But the one that I just think is spectacular, and I just heard it again earlier today, was Charvarius Ward. And Charvarius Ward talked about himself, talked about the back shoulder throw. We talked about Brock Purdy. He gave us a breakdown of most of the top wide receivers in the NFL. Then he gave us a full breakdown of all the Niner wide receivers. I really thought that was an outstanding flow in that interview. And a lot of people have commented some incredibly kind things. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for the kind words. You can only have a good interview if the subject, the person that you're interviewing, wants to be interviewed and is like playing along, right? That's really what it's about. And so it's more about creating an understanding of, hey, I'm not out to get you. I'm out to, pump you guys up and help you make the Pro Bowl, and I want to see you win every week. So I'm not trying to pretend that I'm unbiased. I'm not unbiased. I'm very biased in your favor. So, but I hope everybody's enjoying that stuff, because we're going to have more of that the rest of the regular season into the playoffs. Hopefully we'll have an opportunity to go out on the road and travel a little bit with the team in the playoffs. And if so, what we could potentially bring you interview-wise could be absolutely off the charts. So that's what I'm hoping. We'll see how it goes here in the days ahead. Just to hit the chat a little bit, Joshua says, that Italian sausage completed, Dan. There you go.
Completed.
Dan,
I like that.
Do you feel completed?
Completed.
Here we go. MF, who's been a huge fan of the show. MF, we love you, brother. He says, Krueg Show is the best podcast I've listened to. Thank you. Thank you, MF. We do appreciate that. Paul Perriman, taking a shot at Farhan. Farhan is a better fantasy football player. He might be. We don't even know that. Maybe what if he's terrible and he finished last in fantasy? The Krueg Show. We are getting closer. Need a big show. Tell your friends. Let's hit 10,000. Putting that in the chat for sure. And then Paul Perriman, Krueg, could you please do the Farhan talk or laugh? I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure if that's really it.
We really like our club where we're at right now. We're pretty excited about the club going forward. We like what we got.
Farhan's really, really smart, and he's made some really good moves, but he just hasn't built anything. Where's the foundation of this incredible building project? I want to be something positive, but there's been no building here.
I'll give Farhan came in here in 19. Organization was kind of in shambles. In 2 years, they had the Giants' best regular season ever in 2021. He everything he seemed to be doing seemed to be kind of working. But we follow it up with 22 with a down year. Giants didn't spend much money and they got worse. And then this year looked like, hey, they're going to go out and get, top players. He said there's no limit and no players off limits financially. And they come up with, guys that have had good years in the past, but frankly, they've been injured. and they didn't get the star. They had Correa, so we give them credit, but whatever happened,
building anything.
Yeah, they're not building anything.
Joey Bart is their only position player that's youthful, that's talented, and he didn't draft Joey Bart.
Right. Exactly.
So, I don't know. I want to give Farhan a break, but I would say to him, where's your players? Where's your first baseman? Where's your shortstop? Where's your center fielder?
Yeah.
It's
I want to give Farhan
a base
this year. If the team stinks, I think the Giants need to move in another direction. And I want to read to you something just real quick. This is an old article, so it's 2015. I was doing some searching. Baseball's top general managers, and nothing.
This is like an old village, I'm being read to by the village elders.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Nothing came up that was, new. So,
right.
But what's interesting is this was Ned's not on the list because he had just left the Dodgers, and Andrew Friedman made honorable mention for the Dodgers. So I believe Ned would have been on this list. But the honorable mentions were Sandy Alderson, Rick Hahn, Chris Antonelli, DePito when he was at the Angels, and the Mariners GM. So the top 10 at that time, listen to this. Dayton Moore, I'm going down 10-1. Dayton Moore, Neil Huntington, Pirates, Dan Duquette, still Mike Rizzo,
Nationals,
Ben Cherington, Red Sox, Dave Dombrowski, Tigers, now with the Phillies. At 5, Brian Cashman, Yankees 4, Billy Beane, A's 3, number 2, Brian Sabian, and number 1 was John Mozeliak of the Cardinals. Mozeliak, I say it, yeah. But we had one of the best general managers, and the team was run professional. There was none of this.
The players believed always in Sabian.
I mean, he went and got guys too that were, that were lower level at times, but they all contributed. And, the Giants, I want to see, we were talking about John Lynch and Kyle. If this front office doesn't make it, I want to see the Giants go back to some of their roots and bring in a Stephen Voigt as a manager, or guys that were Giants that would be managers, Ron Wotus, guys that are part of the Giants championship tradition, Will Clark. Bring some of this in and get a top flight GM. I mean, I don't know, I can't think of any baseball player, Larry, that was would come in and be an executive for the first time like Lynch did in football. I don't know who's available, who's done that, but I want to see the Giants do something completely different. I want to get away from this. If it doesn't work, this analytic crap, and go back to baseball, Bochy style, Sabe style, Coletti. Get these tough guys that are, baseball men.
Yeah,
and
you're bucking the trend. You're going against the trend. The trend is
I don't like this
Ivy Leaguers and guys with all kinds of brain power and degrees, advanced degrees.
I don't like it. I think the games.
You want a baseball guy.
I think we're going back to more baseball because the shift's the first thing to go. So now you got half your crap analytics of, he hits the ball 80% right here. So let's move everybody into this side of the bag.
I'm okay with analytics, but it's got to work.
Yeah.
Where's the foundation pieces?
Both
maybe
it's
Casey Schmidt, Vaughn Brown, and Kyle Harrison, and maybe they'll all be up by May, and where this will be a big discussion about nothing. But right now, today on December 30th, there is no foundation pieces in the lineup.
Who's forgotten man in the Giants organization? He was their top prospect a year or two ago, Elliot Ramos. He's like buried. Like,
what's happened? He should be ready.
He should be ready. So if he's not ready to play
I'm
this year,
afraid that he's a bust, but I'm more afraid that they're going to trade him and he's going to excel somewhere else.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do with him, but they obviously
I see him, I love him.
They're obviously not high on him because they went out and signed
Danny.
Exactly. So what is the plan for him? He's taken up a spot on the 40. Are they going to trade him? Or are they going to allow him to, obviously he's probably going to start in AAA, and then hopefully he has a good start there. But if he has a year like last year, he may be gone from the organization.
Would not be shocking. MF says, I love the Trent Baalke voice from Larry.
Yeah, those are our linebackers. We love our linebackers. That's Gerald Hayes. He's going to be a linebacker. Gerald Hodges. Excuse me, I said Hayes. I meant Hodges. Yeah, we like the guys that we have. I wrote A.J. Jenkins' name in an envelope.
It was just like, please stop.
He may make the playoffs with Jacksonville.
We all saw the movie, Draft Day. You don't have Vontae Mack no matter what. It's like,
I wrote A.J. Jenkins' name down. I put it in an envelope.
Great. Right on the outside of the envelope, moron. Because
speaking of moron,
A.J. Jenkins was great. Doesn't know football.
Moron, we don't have a shout out to he might be watching this later on, BMW Lotus, or as affectionately known by me as Blotus.
Right.
He's been great every time he comes in. Hey morons, what's going on? I'm here.
MF said he loved the Charvarius Ward interview. Appreciate you. I like the way that came out as well. Ashley says, I really liked the Ward one. He seemed to really open up. He did, man. He started going off on every different receiver. But you know what? These guys study, and they have a wealth of information. And if you just tap into kind of like what they're studying and ask them about it, they start visualizing like each player. And then it just becomes like a stream of consciousness. But yeah, I thought it was cool. The fact I really loved, I'll tell you my favorite part about that interview was when he started describing the back shoulder throw and how he defends it and how unstoppable it is. And, now we're getting into football esoteric, but it was really, to me, I got a lot out of that. We got this one from Austin, donates $9.99, says Krueg show is the best. All of you, Happy New Year. P.S. You interviewed my cousin that played on the Earthquakes that went to Stanford, and now he is a doctor. Ha. Oh, really? That's interesting. Austin, what was his name? Tell me his name. I'll remember. That's interesting. Steve says, I like the Kinlaw interview. Can't take credit away from this D. Yeah, I mean, Kinlaw was another guy who had a lot to say, and he basically said they're going to win the Super Bowl. Vicky Boone, you are a real man. That's why we love you. All right, appreciate that.
She's talking to me, Larry.
Yeah, sorry. Oh, that one's for Danny.
Yeah.
You are a real man with smallish hands, and that's why we love you. Senior softball game says Ashley Keating agreed. Not sure what that means. Mark Graves, Happy New Year to everyone. Happy New Year, Mark. Happy New Year to everybody. And we got this from Kyle McKiernan. Ha, horrible, but that was funny. Val Ramos says, good night, guys. And we got this one. Derek Brantley, can we get an interview with Farhan? Well, I guarantee you that if I get a credential and get there, I will get an interview with Farhan, and I'll get multiple interviews with Farhan. If I have to beg for the Niner PR to get it, for the Giants PR to get it for me, I think there's no chance in hell. But if I get there and ask him myself, I think there's no chance he denies me. I've talked to him many times, and I know he probably doesn't like me for some of the things I've said about him, but at the same time, he's got to respect the fact that I care. I know what the hell I'm talking about for the most part, and I want to be right. I'm trying to get it right. Kyle McKiernan says CBS Radio said the Giants are back in on Correa. Boris is probably over it, though. I bet the Giants want no more than 6 years.
CBS Radio, when was that reported? Because
Kyle, when was that reported? Because
Farhan said today they're out probably.
He basically made it seem like that they had interest and that they've talked, but that he was going in a different direction from them. Krueg show. We will try to interview Farhan in the 49ers locker room after practice if he's there. LOL. Yeah, exactly. MF says, who would the Giants hire if they fired Farhan? I mean, in a dream world, somebody like Ned Coletti. Yeah. I would say somebody like Dave Dombrowski, Jim Bowden, somebody who's done it.
Rizzo, Mike Rizzo, or somebody like that.
I just would like, instead of taking a chance on somebody who's never done it and hoping they can figure it out, how about go get somebody who's already done it? That would be my wish.
Yeah, see a guy like Mike Rizzo who has done well with Washington. You compare Washington to the Giants' history. I mean, come on. Giants are a rich tradition franchise with lots of clout and money. The Nationals are going to probably go through an ownership change. That would be an ideal time for maybe they may want to bring in their own guy, the new owners, and Rizzo might be available. I mean, he's a guy that's developed guys in their farm system, drafted well. I mean, went out and got Harper, I think, was he there when they drafted Harper? I can't remember. I know they was with Soto.
That's a good question. I think Mike Rizzo's been with the Nationals for a long time.
Yeah.
So he probably was there. MF says he'd love to hear Sabian and Coletti on the show talking ball. We might be able to make that happen. Mark Graves says Sabian would be a better GM now. No $20 million mortgage to keep him handcuffed.
Romo
says
the
Giants are far richer now than they were when Sabes ran the show.
Romo said, Larry, Dan, thanks for providing a great 2022 on the YouTube verse and looking forward to 23. Happy New Year to both you and your families. Thank you, Romo.
Thank you, Romo. Have a great holiday.
And Happy New Year to you and best wishes for a healthy 23.
There you go. And everybody, JJ Koval says he was a center mid. He was studying neuroscience at Stanford.
That's his name, Dr. Koval?
JJ Koval. No, I don't. No, it wasn't Dr. Koval.
He's a doctor now, or maybe he's a
Bomber
doctor.
T says Happy New Year. Hey, Bomber. I saw you in the YouTube chat throw a very nice compliment towards us. I just wanted to say, there you go. Thank you, brother. Senior softball games. Are you getting a credential? I will. I absolutely will. MF says Farhan said he reads Twitter, saw his name trending. Yeah. It's never a good thing when your name is trending. Bomber T, all the interviews were spot on, Larry. Watch them all. There's more coming, buddy. There's more coming. And now you're going to get even better and better stuff from me on the Niner front. Why? Because all the guys kind of know me now. So I can just kind of, we can go. And there's so many guys on the team that there's always going to be guys. I mean, we're going to do extended stuff with Drake Jackson. He's terrific. But there's 15, 20 guys on the team that we really love talking to and seem to enjoy coming on with us. So I'm expecting great interview content coming out of the Niner locker room all the way through. I'm hoping right to Glendale and Super Bowl 57. Patrick Sheehan. Krueg show started in 2022. Great year. Happy New Year, fellas. Thank you, Patrick. We appreciate you, brother. MF says, Happy New Year, fellas. Thanks, MF. Sabes is Coletti's tuning fork. Paul Perriman. Tuning fork.
Yeah,
I haven't gone to my tuning fork since I played the guitar. I used to have my tuning fork.
Yeah, all the players kind of know you now because, comes into the locker room. You guys have heard of Big Hands, Larry Johnson.
Right? It was Gary Johnson. Gary Big Hands Johnson.
Big Hands Gary Johnson. Yeah, it's Big Hands Larry Krueger in the 49ers locker room.
Yeah, just a monster mitt that could just palm a basketball. I'm like Jose Vargas from LSU. Look it up. Jose Vargas, when he played for LSU, power forward, Danny, could deflate. They said his hands were so big that he could deflate a basketball with his hand.
What?
That's
Who could do that?
His name's Jose Vargas. He played at
Deflate
LSU
a basketball
with his hand.
Oh my goodness!
Hey, telling you. All right, we'll see. MF says, heard Greg Cosell on this week talking about the Niners defense. Very interesting. I'll have to go listen to that. I will say this, though. Greg was not necessarily the believer in Brock Purdy the last few weeks. So I wonder if the people who don't believe in Brock Purdy are starting to come around, as they say. All right, Danny, great stuff. It's midnight. Let's bolt. Yeah. We're 2 hours and 9 minutes into our live stream. If you're tuning in saying, where's Rye? He's just really quiet. No. Rye wasn't here tonight. He had a date. Yeah. And then tomorrow night's New Year's Eve. What plans you got? You got big plans on New Year's Eve?
Gonna have some friends over, and we'll.
What are you gonna make?
I don't know.
Completes?
Yeah, completes. Yeah, we're gonna serve turkey. Yeah. Turkey and mashed potatoes from Completes. That's
right before midnight. What was the last word that came out of Dan's mouth? He said it was human grade. Human grade.
Yeah, Completes. Instead of cooking and everybody cutting up their own portion, I've prepared everybody's individual Completes. Wouldn't that be something? No, we're going to have some friends over. We're going to watch the first game right around the corner from here, just down the road, Michigan and TCU.
I like Michigan.
I like Michigan too. And then Ohio State and Georgia later on.
Love Georgia.
I like Georgia. And then I sure would love to see Michigan win it against Georgia, but I think Georgia's just too good. But I'm going to be pulling for Jimmy Harbaugh and Michigan to win it all. Georgia got theirs last year, so let's see if it could be that. That would be really a great title matchup. Two undefeated teams.
Yes.
Has that happened I can't remember the last time that happened.
Two undefeated teams in the national championship game?
Yeah.
Oh, it's been a long time.
There's always been.
By the way, we are at 9,575 now. We are closing in 425 away from 10,000. 425 subscribers away. So if you're in the chat right now and you've yet to subscribe, please subscribe to the Krueg Show and help us get to 10,000 before the post game of Niners Raiders on New Year's Day. So what did we get this one from? Senior softball games. Michigan, Ohio State would be epic.
Oh
yeah, we already saw that once.
That would be kind of that would be big. I'm trying to remember I was trying to look and see. Someone in the chat might
this
know.
One, Mark Graves. Hopefully Ryan's girlfriend doesn't find out he's on a date tonight.
Yeah, it's Larry let it out of the bag.
Sorry, Ryan. I didn't think anybody was watching. All right, good stuff. Thanks to everybody for participating. Thanks for everybody for contributing this year. We've had a ton of fun, and we won't be doing a live stream tomorrow, but we will be back after Niners and Raiders on Sunday.
Is that a 1 o'clock game?
1 o'clock game. 1 o'clock game. I'm not sure if it's 1:25. Let's check it out. I think it's 1 o'clock.
I think it's 1:05. And do you got to do Talk Sport after that?
1:05. We got a 1:05 start from Vegas. So Niners Raiders 1:05
and then
Sunday.
Have Talk
and then
Sport?
we'll do a Talk Sport pregame show, a little Talk Sport postgame show. Talk to some of the guys in the locker room, and then there'll be no travel involved because I'll be here. So we'll do a little live stream Sunday night.
And
maybe we'll invite Jordan Elliott and some of the other contributors and see if we can have a big old party, and hopefully we can generate 400 subscribers and get to 10,000.
Yeah, Rye's going to the game, isn't he, in Vegas?
He is. He's in Vegas, so he will be hopefully joining us from Vegas in the pre and post game, giving us the breakdown, and we'll talk with Rye from the locker room. So it should be a ton of fun.
So what do you think we'll come on? You think we'll come on about 6 during Sunday Night Football, or wait till after?
I would say right about 6 o'clock. I would say so. The game's going to end right around 4. And we'll take like an hour break or so, and then we'll come on. We'll give it a little time. So I would say, right around 6 o'clock Pacific on Sunday, we'll be back with you for a little post game. And hopefully,
you think Rye will be able to find his hotel by 6?
Probably not. All right, Danny, good stuff, man.
All right.
Have a good one.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you won't get exactly what you asked for. Careful, whatever you bring me, getting handled. I answer to no one, I don't need to hassle. Yeah. We ain't never fall back.